Happy Monday and welcome to Nancy Ferrari Live. And I couldn't be more thrilled to finally have this beautiful woman who you can see next to me, Vanessa Codorniu, with me on a webcast. We talked about podcasts for a while, and I thought, you know what? She's been so visible lately. Let's do this together. And Vanessa and I actually met through some programs that we kind of overlapped, but I do think that you came to my attention probably intuitively, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And Vanessa truly is uh, one of those people in the world that, and I told her whenever I see her do her Facebook Lives, because she actually does intuitive readings for comments that come down, and I just feel this sense of awe. And Vanessa, you really have that it factor of really being connected, and that's a word that's been spinning in my head too about us. Uh, we are meant to connect with one another. We're the only species in the world that can talk in the way. Now we connect intuitively as well, but then why are we not communicating with one another? So I just had to throw that out there. I'm going completely wrong and unscripted here, which, like you said, this is the best way to be, right?
Right.
So, but a little bit about you before we start talking about our main topic is going to be leveraging your intuition in life and business, because this is no longer a topic that people just don't talk about. It's in the mainstream now, and people are getting curious. And Vanessa is the expert, as she is an acclaimed psychic intuitive, clinical hypnotherapist, and international intuition trainer. She's also the founder of the Intuitive Leverage, which I'll have her share more with you about. And Vanessa is an Argentine American who started doing readings at 16. Wow. I think about 16. No, I was not doing readings. I was
30 years ago.
I used my intuition. But with that said, thank you so much for taking time from your busy day to be on my show.
Thank you, Nancy. You know that I adore you. So,
Thank
we've
you.
been like, let's do this. When are we going to do it? And here we are. And it's meant to be, and we're aligned. And I love
Mhm.
the work that you've done your whole life, connecting with people and interviewing them and getting to the core of it, and also your
Mhm.
soul work. And so it's an honor to be here with you today.
Oh, truly my pleasure. And as you mentioned, this quote unquote soul work, for our viewers who maybe might not be familiar with that, and exactly, we actually went through the same program, the Akashic Soul Record Consultant program. I believe that's the Soul Journey's title to it. But for those who might go, wow, I've never heard of that. Please share what that is about.
Awesome. So, well, I think for me, soul work is going beyond what the mind can see, beyond what is tangible, right? So when we watch a movie, we know that there's something beneath what people are saying, right? We're like, oh, but this
Mm-hmm.
happened to her as a child, and this is what's happening. We all like psychoanalyze movies. Well, the truth can be said of all of us. What we see is the tip of the iceberg. So for me, for you, for many of us, we're doing work that is in the soul technology. That means that we go beyond the conscious mind, right? We connect to the soul, we connect to the patterns that are happening in the subconscious and the superconscious areas, and we bring them to light to help people break through their fears and break through maybe some energetics that they're carrying. Many people can go through tons of coaching and a lot of conscious work where they're trying to break through something, but you go to someone who's a soul work technician or a soul technician, they go beyond that and suddenly it shifts. It's because your
Mm-hmm.
conscious mind went as far as it could. And a lot of us have issues or patterns, and let's not say issues, let's say challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to say issues is almost to say something's wrong, when I think really that our challenges are here to allow us to expand into more courage, into more love, into more trust, even though they don't feel so great. So I think that's really what I would
Mm-hmm.
call soul work, is working in the dimension beyond the conscious mind to heal emotional, mental, and spiritual beliefs and experiences and maybe traumas, or to bring out gifts that are there that we aren't seeing in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. And I thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes when I share it with others, it seems I'm trying to think here. I've had them mention me, well, do you only work with people who have issues? And I said, no, it's for me, especially, it was 9, 10 years ago that I really wasn't sure where I was, coming off a career, in law for 20 years. It was just, that wasn't my passion, but I knew there was something more. So I was attracted to the energy practitioners, the healers, the way showers, the light workers, and so on and so forth, because they taught me how to go inward. And for a lot of people, that's a scary thing. And
Absolutely.
so what I know is that we're all here for a purpose, and you are such a wonderful guide for people to open that up and give them permission to do what they're really here to do.
Thank you. Thank you. And, as they always say, like, we teach or guide others in what we need to learn. And I think for me, I knew as a little kid, I knew as a little child, like, I came here to do something. I thought it was in the way of art, because I was an artist. I was a singer. I was a performer. So when I wrote my letter to the universe, it said, allow me to be a channel for transformation through creativity and healing. I didn't know. I was 19. I wrote that. But what really wound up happening is that I do actually use a lot of creativity in my teaching. And I use a lot of creativity in how I created, my packages, and how I created all my programs, and how I write my stuff, and how I present my things. And so I think that most of us know we have a calling. I also believe that our calling is not what the media or the Hollywood version of calling. So many people have come up saying, I'm going to be another Tony Robbins. I'm meant to be Oprah. And when they say it, they're like really emotional. They're crying. They're like feeling into it. And I'm not here to judge it or put it down, but I say, well, go beyond that. You may wind up being a Tony Robbins, right? But wouldn't you want to just be yourself in your own fabulous way? You may be an Oprah, but wouldn't you want to be like a fabulous Jackie or Joan or Tom, or Blue or Apple, all these other names that are coming up. It's like, we are buying into this idealization that a soul purpose is only worthy if it's on a stage with millions of people and tons of money attached. And soul purposes, I've seen people, I had a 10-year-old ask his mom, can I speak to that lady that you speak to, Mom, that you feel happy when you get off the phone with her? And he asked that he see me through Skype. And his request was to find out why he was born. I think he was 10 or 11. And the answer for him through his own hypnosis was to love and be loved. Wow. He left the room like, 10, 11-year-old boy, full of love. It wasn't to be a astronaut or cowboy or $1 million mogul. It was like to love and be loved in whatever form that takes. So when we talk about soul purpose, just wanted to bring that up, just get into the conversation, right? That it's also to love. It is also just to be. It is not always to make $1 million, to have 50 top selling books. And if we do, that's great. But we're also now bringing commercialism to our soul purpose. So it's like, let's drop in, people. Let's drop in,
Yes. And that's been when I came into this industry, if you will, there was a bit of that pressure. If you do this, then you get that, and learning how to speak to the back of the room. And this conversation I'm talking about. And there's no judgment about it. Right. But if it's not in alignment with who you are, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. It's like pushing up against a wall. And that's why when people ask me, well, how many people listen to your show? And I said, well, I have the universe. And I know that our message is going to land exactly where it's supposed to. So I was starting to listen to myself in that intuitive language, if you will, that I already knew it all along. Yes. That I didn't need to have that measurement, because sometimes those can make you feel not worthy.
Absolutely.
Wow, I don't have 5,000 people on my mailing list, so I guess I'm just not worth it. That can happen.
Absolutely. I've had people who've called me who just started out in intuition professionally. Maybe they were already doing it for years. And they called me. They're like, well, do you have 10,000 people on your list? I'm like, I don't. Then they didn't want to have me on their on their telecast. And there was a part of me that was like, wow, you're putting on
Mm-hmm.
people who are telling you that they have 10, they probably don't. Some of them didn't. I knew it intuitively. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to actually, I had a feeling this person wasn't even going to really succeed. So it's like, wait, you're turning away somebody who has succeeded online in the arena that you want. Don't
Mm-hmm.
even want to tap into any of her experience because of the numbers. And I can tell you now, what is it, a year later? I mean, they're not really doing the work anymore because they couldn't, right? They couldn't support themselves. So it's so interesting to me. And, I don't have millions. I just got on Instagram this past year. I don't even have 2,000 yet. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook, but that's the max. But the thing is, this is that I may not have all the millions of people yet, but my courses are full. They usually sell out before I even have to promote them. Um, and also, I also don't have a huge number that I take. 20 is the top number, or 15, right? So that's it. But there's always work. It's always movement. There's a retreat that I'm invited to. I'm hired to go do this. And the millions of people may come or may not. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even, I just want to show up, show
Mm-hmm.
up and shine and support others and let everything else be taken care of by the universe if it is so.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need those numbers. And yes, we can feel bad about them. Definitely.
No, and I really feel that this is also indicative of what's happening in the world. Yeah, everything is changing, and we
Absolutely.
don't need to get into all of that because we're all aware of it. But what used to be a measurement of success no longer is, and so why not, as you said, just be you,
Absolutely.
and having that reciprocity between you and others just flow naturally. Now I can say that with ease. I get in my own spin cycles
We
as
all,
to
we all
yes.
do.
Now in this industry, and because there's even more that are stepping into it because we're awakening, we're discovering our gifts, and you want to share it with the world and have a thriving business and or a business.
Right.
This is what you speak to often. That's with your intuitive leverage program that you developed. But why it can be such a challenge to for us healers, energy workers, and so on and so on to not only start a business but to sustain the business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to actually share, sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share this page right now on my page. So I'm just doing that for a moment. Sorry. If you could see that I'm doing that. I think it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's I think that doing spiritual work is one of our deepest like spiritual practices for the people who are called to it. Because not
Mm-hmm.
only do we have to explore the unknown and the healing and the energetics of it, once we become experts in the area, now we have to go learn about marketing. You're like, back in the day when somebody was like a Huna medicine person, or somebody was in a hut, or we were priestesses in a temple, or a monk who laid on hands, we didn't even have to talk sometimes. People came, you laid the hands, they said thank you, and they left, and they gave you like a chicken or something, and that was like the deal. Like they gave you a goat or some cheese and they walked away, or a feather bed, and you were like, oh, I have a
Mm-hmm.
feather down pillow now. Now that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. So not only are we learning to have confidence in the invisible of the technical stuff of our work, right, and the not so technical, now we have to
Mm-hmm.
learn, wow, marketing, I have to vlog, they have to know about my life, I'm not ready, I'm not perfect yet, so we have these challenges of expertise and then sharing the work. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of us get stuck, where we want to do the work and we'll do it like small town. I always did it very on the down low. Since I'm 22, I became a professional, I got paid. But I did it on the down low, so that meant that a girlfriend might tell a girlfriend, and next thing I knew, I was doing a party of 10. I got paid for that month. Then the week later, a couple of other people would call me. I didn't advertise. For years and years, it's how it went. Then I
Mm-hmm.
taught people. I had circles for 10 years. But I I didn't think marketing was spiritual. So for a lot of us, also
Mm-hmm.
healers and intuitives, we judge that world and we're like, that's selling, that's disgusting, it's money. Not all of us, I think we're healing. And so a lot of the people who taught me and trained me are older, right? They're probably in their 70s now. And
Mm-hmm.
they are like a lot of the amazing Native American pagan people from the festivals I went to, and Catholic
Mm-hmm.
people who didn't accept money and they were proud of it. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
me in my 40s, and then there's the people in their 20s. So a lot of the older people were like, no, I'm never going to get paid. This is God's work. Then there's people like me in the 40s and 50s and 30s trying to like cross over to the bridge of,
Mm-hmm.
money is spiritual too. And then there's the 20-year-olds who are like, I'm supposed to make it overnight because everybody told me I'm supposed to quit my job and follow my bliss. So a lot of us are having different issues in the different parts of the journey. And
That's
those and
right.
that's one of them, the whole money and the whole learning to market and learning to present ourselves.
Very
Absolutely.
well said. Very well
Yeah.
said. And as I've been interviewing younger authors lately, and yes, I'm hearing that language because it's, and there's no, there again, I always will correct, I always will perceive myself as saying there's no right or wrong, there's no judgment. It's just that that's the way their generation is. And I talked to my daughter a lot about it, and she says, it's almost like going back to that generation gap, that when I was in my 20s, and but that was different. Now we've got social media where you've got women, let's just go with women here, that are finding their I talked about this, not adolescence, middle lessons, this time period now that we're really opening up to who we are, and we know that there's more for us, but yet we've got conflict. If you're right in the middle, you've got maybe your parents saying, well, what in the heck are you doing? You've got your children going, what the heck are you doing? And we're all, like you said, on our journey, and to respect that, because that is what they know, the younger ones. And I'm even going down to my almost 8-year-old granddaughter. It's fascinating what comes out of her mouth, and it's just so pure.
Absolutely.
And but how that's going to be cultivated with her gifts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? To be honest with you, I think you know about this. When I finally came online, I made money quickly. And it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
because I had a lot of numbers. It wasn't because I had a lot of followers. What it was is that I'd been doing the work for so long that I was so confident. And even though I cried as I created my program, I did. I was crying. I was like, I have no money. I was like that, and I didn't have a husband. I didn't have kids. I've been a stepmom. So I've been doing this for a long time hidden. And it was about time. When I created that program, that first program, then the second one, I was successful my first year. I did have the quick success. But what I'm seeing for 20 somethings, when they talk to me and they work with me, they've been told they're going to make it overnight, but nobody knows them. They've been taught they're going to make it overnight, but just because you have a fabulous picture and fabulous knowledge, because some of them are really like wise old souls, they
Mm-hmm.
still, they're like, I don't want to give anything away for free because people need to pay me and they need to pay me 500 an hour. And then they're starving and they have no home, right? Exactly. Debbie's saying it's not about the
Mm-hmm.
numbers. Agreed.
Yes.
So I say to them, it's not about the age either, but it is about a level of confidence, a level of groundedness, and a level to be able to show up and just share without attaching a price tag immediately. Right? To be able to come
Right.
in with an open heart. Like, that you've seen me do those readings live. I don't even sometimes say, everybody, here's a special. And sometimes people who ask questions are like, Vanessa, you're offering a special because they're trying to help me. They're like, we want you to share and also get paid. And I'm like, don't worry. When I come on here for an hour, I know that this is service to community and also
Mm-hmm.
connection. So
Yes.
yes, there are different ways to get there, but I think for all of us, we need a little patience. We need a little patience.
Exactly. And thank you, Deb, for that comment, because it's
Yeah.
true. It's about relationships, and both Vanessa and I know that, and it's through that trust. And the fact that there again, darn it if that word money doesn't just, throw people into a tailspin, because you come on there, you're talking, you're being visible, but what's happening is how much you're helping others heal. I learn so much from what you share with others. It's almost like, when you go to church and the pastor or the priest is speaking, or doing homily, and you go, God is talking to me. How did they do that? And so visibility is what you're saying is vital
Absolutely.
and to be truly from this space right here.
Absolutely. And we were talking about this before we got on, that I was someone who shied away from all this, initiated priestess,
Mm-hmm.
studied shamanism. For me, it was like not acceptable to take pictures of my feathers in my medicine bag. But over the
Mm-hmm.
years, I started to go, well, that's silly. This is a new time. And I started to
Right.
photograph my feathers in my own medicine bag and my talking stick and my sacred ornament, tools. And I started to realize how things needed to shift. So I shifted. But also, we go through a process. For me, it was like my reading and my work with people was sacred. It was supposed to be in a sacred container, not visible for other people to see. But then as
Right.
my marketing started to shift last year, my guides were like, Vanessa, get on here and just serve the people as you've always done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what moved me to it. And I got over that my hair's wet. We were talking about that my hair's wet. I have a hair dryer, or I look a little extra chubby today, or retaining water. It doesn't become about the vanity stuff and well, I'm not perfect today. It becomes about, well, how can I show up and serve? How can I bring in more light? And how can I hold space for other people to also
Mm-hmm.
feel that as well? So
Mm-hmm.
visibility is a way for us to connect to each other.
Yes. So we've got that, and you and I both encourage others to do the same. And it just starts small and practice with a friend. There's so many ways you can do this without stepping into, as I call, the courage pool, because that's exactly what I did initially. And but for those who want to take it to the next level with business, what do you advise? I know you have a program for let's use that word, solo entrepreneurs, and
Yes.
then some, where we can get to that place of, well, but I'm spiritual, but I shouldn't be doing this, but yet I'm worthy of earning money, which is really energy, and you get really
Right.
caught up in that. You help them. I'm going to presume to calm that down.
Absolutely. And you know what I found? I found that, so I have a 7-month program called Awaken Soul Biz. And I created it because I kept seeing over and over again within myself and others over time, the same fears, like either empath overload, where we were taking care of too many people and taking on too much without also receiving, right? Or pushing ourselves into this warrior energy and go, 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 because maybe we hired a male energy coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a coach that was really business. And so we didn't get to find that balance within ourselves, because now we are being, you got to do this, you've got to do, and then the intuitive healer is like, no, I can't, I don't want it, it's not for me. So I said, how do I create a space where they can be themselves and easily, gently figure it out? And I can tell you, money, actually, charging money for me changed my life, because I was very exhausted before because I didn't have boundaries, right? So anybody who came, I would just help. And I would have
Mm-hmm.
sessions and charge, but not the way I do now, right? The way I did in the last 4 years. What it
Mm-hmm.
creates is that the people who show up to book a session and pay, they're serious about their path and their journey and their healing. So then I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I'm wasting my time. And again, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just offering. They do what they want. But most often than not, the people who show up and actually pay for the session are ready. And those who are
Right.
just grabbing at you wherever you go, because I've been cornered at cocktail parties throughout my life, and accosted in like a park. I know you from Facebook. What do you see? What do you see? Yes,
Wow.
yes. It happens. It happens to me a lot. Can you tell me something? Meanwhile, I'm like getting a manicure. I'm like, no, I'm
No,
chilling.
I can't.
But you can book
The
a
store
session.
is closed.
Right, but charging money sets you up so you're not exhausted, because you know
Right.
what time to what time you're in service, what time
Mm-hmm.
to what time you're helping somebody else, and it really helps. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Boomy, so much love to
Yeah.
you.
Now this is interesting. You're seeing. Oh, do you have Facebook going on right now too?
No, I'm seeing it on Be
Oh,
Live.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I've got a pro here, and for some people, this is just getting on to someone else's show can be stressful. But Vanessa is showing you that yes, here we are actually collaborating together in conversation, and yes, she is an incredible goddess. I mean, I knew immediately and I'm trying. I guess it's not important, that point of connecting with you, but it was like I want to know this woman more. I'm so pleased when you came out and about with, Facebook Live, and I can see you more. And
Thank you. You mean so much.
yes,
That means so much to me, Nancy. Because, for
well,
all of us,
so
it's like we're a
many.
little scared when we step out there. It's like, oh, am I going to be judged? And, oh, you get all these and then you just go, screw it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just showing up. I have faith. I'm just going to be a vessel of love and support. And then people like you reflecting it back, it just means
Mhm.
everything. So thank you.
And that supports what I was told too, that there's people who are waiting for you. I think Louise Hay had a quote about that.
Yes.
And I can't remember right now. So much going on in my mind at the moment. But you never know who you're going to touch. So if you stay hidden in the shadows, then that opportunity is a little more challenged. Maybe sometimes it can come another way, but it's like getting out of the house. You can't network very well from within your office. You need to meet people face to face so they can really get to know the real you. And but this is the next best thing. So
Absolutely.
we, I was just
Absolutely.
saying, we have to bless technology.
Oh my God, I love technology. I think that technology is spirit. And however we use it is up to us, but it is just
Mhm.
tripled and probably many-folded our expanse and our reach. But I wanted to
Mhm.
share something that you were saying about going out and meeting people. For anybody who's out there, and whether they're just starting out or they are already, or you're already working your business, um, you know, do it as you feel called to. But there's also stepping out of your comfort zone, because some of us are really great with technology, but we don't like to go and be in front of people, right, in person.
Right.
So I want to invite people to also do that. Like there are people
Mhm.
who come to me and they go, oh, I'm just going to make a living speaking. And there's a part of me that kind of giggles internally, because I'm not saying they can't, but in the beginning they're going to have to write, they're going to do, there's other things, because there's so many people speaking right now. And so for me, one of the ways that there's always continuous flow in my business is because not only do I have courses and one-offs and, let's say, meditations, I also show up live and speak with people. I go to
Mhm.
events and do speaking engagements a couple of
Right.
times. I'll show up at a networking event and just connect with people and talk to them. And these are
Mhm.
really important things because they
Yes.
expand us.
If we are who we say we are, and we work with energy, you got there's that exchange, and that's what I love about, as Deb said earlier, relationships and cultivating them, and you can't help but, when you are connected with that divine person that you're supposed to connect with, there's no greater feeling to me.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
then there's a commercial, and then so on and so on and so on. They
Yes.
tell their friend, my producer taught me that it was that Breck commercial, and I'm going way back to when I was a little girl. But yes, that's how it is. It's the ripple effect. Jean Houston talks to that a lot, and she says
Absolutely.
what you put out there as well, uh, within Facebook or social media, make it be something of purpose, of value to others. We don't need to hear you're going down to the market, And she was very blunt about that. She was at a women's conference. She says, yes,
Wow.
that you can tell your friend that, but the whole world doesn't need to. You, like you said, utilize technology for the greater good, and also for
Absolutely.
your greater good as well. So how can, my viewers connect with you?
Yay. So you can find me on Vanessa Codorniu at Facebook. You can find me at Intuitive Evolution _ V Codorniu Instagram. And if you're interested in checking out some of the work that I do, intuitiveleverage.com and awakensoulbiz.com.
Okay, I'm gonna stop typing. I was going to pop it up there, and I wrote, okay, I'm going to be writing a blog, and so I'll get that information and so that others can see it. It would be underneath our conversation here, and to connect with you. But you are very visible, and as I said, as I typed, I believe, into your Instagram, you are such a wonderful example of showing up. And I like to say, playing full out. Doesn't matter if my hair, I'm not having a good hair day, but oh well, I'm grateful I have hair, right? So let's,
Yes,
you
exactly.
got to be in gratitude. And
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I was saying today, that my hair was wet, so I wasn't going to do a 1 minute video. And then I went, wait a minute, I should do the 1 minute video on this, like that these things shouldn't stop us. And I think for all of us, especially if we love what we do, especially when we feel that there's such a calling, right? If we just continue to stay in the love, because if we look around and we all do this, we're like, oh, but she got this, or they're doing this, or they're making this, or they're on TV, if we look around and, we compare, which it's a natural human thing.
mhm,
If we can just go back and leave them to their journey and to their path and bless
mhm,
everybody and come back to ourselves and to the joy that our work brings us and just be like, well, how else can I play? Right? Because I think
mhm,
that so many of us are tied up in how perfect we can make it. Like I remember when I was a writer who didn't write in the past, okay? Before, and I got paid to write 10, 15 years ago for real estate magazines, but I was afraid to write
mhm,
about spirituality. And so
mhm,
for a long time I was a writer who didn't write because it was never going to be as good enough as it was in my mind. Then I got paid to write stuff that I didn't love. And then eventually now I basically roll out of bed, pull out my phone, write without my context. So I make grammatical errors and then I have to go back and
mhm,
like, fix what I did, but I don't care. Before I would have punished myself. Before I would
mhm,
have been like, Vanessa, they're going to think you can't write. What's wrong with you? Now I'm like, and then I just fix it and I keep
mhm,
going. And so
mhm.
just to extend that message too, that, it's progress over perfection, that I don't think people want to see a manicured, perfect version of our reality, but rather a true path and what's really happening, which sometimes is manicured and beautiful. And sometimes
Mhm.
it's a hangnail, and sometimes it hurts. And sometimes we're going in for other things in surgery, or sometimes we've got to stop our business because other family business is taking over. These are the things that happen. And I
Right.
think
It's
that it's
life.
okay to show up in that,
Mhm.
because our
Good.
clients are showing up in that as well, and our students.
Mhm. And
So
as I said, be the example for others and
absolutely.
also be the change. Because if you're gonna stay where you're at and complain that you're stuck, time to step out. And so I highly encourage you to connect with Vanessa in one way or the other, and I will get all that information um, down here as well. And actually, I can type it when we're off air. But anyway, this has truly been such an uplift from me on this Monday to be with you, Vanessa. And I think you already know how much you mean to me and to so many others. And it will continue to
Thank you.
grow. You
Yeah.
inspire me. So, and for my viewers, if you see the replay, please comment and how you like the show. And if you have questions for Vanessa, for myself, I will certainly pass them on to her, and she will always get back to you because that's the kind of person she is. So, with that said, thank you so much for joining us, and Vanessa, thank you from the bottom of my heart
Thank you,
for being
Nancy.
with me today.
Mm.
Much love.
Much love.
But
Thank you.
bye bye.